Well, there we have begun. Hi, I'm Dick Cavett, and you surprised me. I was talking to my guest who has a terrible reputation for enchanting people.
Yeah.
And I was caught off guard. She is the sophisticated and, what shall I say, at times outspoken, a very southern Julia Sugarbaker of designing women. But Dixie Carter hinted at her real passion in this episode, which was seen just a few weeks ago. Would you roll the tape, please?
I think she's had too much champagne.
No, she's fine. She's fine.
Now Payne and his lovely bride, Sylvie, are about to leave for their honeymoon. But before they go, I want to just take a moment and sing a song for you. It's a special song, one that I used to sing for Payne when he was just a little boy. Hit it.
Don't worry, Mom never takes her clothes off unless they throw money.
Good heavens, Dixie, it seemed your behavior was slightly inappropriate to the setting. Should I say that Miss Carter, and it's Mrs. Carter and Miss Carter, we'll get into that perhaps, is a singer by training at heart, and you can catch her cabaret act at the Cafe Carlisle this month. And Dixie Carter, welcome after all this time.
I'm so pleased that you've had me. You remember me from the QE2 20 years ago?
I had a feeling I was going to say one of those, you know, those people who say, oh, was it Paris, Marseille, Omaha? Where have we met? It was on the
boat.
That's right.
On the boat going to England.
We were children.
I was with my first husband. And
I was
a mere child. I was a baby.
That's right.
I hadn't even had my children. I only had one baby then.
My wife
and you
reminded
were
me
so assiduous. Every night in your studies in the library, you would go in and work. Do you remember that you did that?
You must
in
have
the
me
library.
confused.
No, you didn't.
Alistair Cook or something. No, that was the only place I could go. It was quiet enough to read comic books, and I had my comic books with me.
Oh.
Well, it was kind of flattering to feel that I had met you, because when you see someone, and then one day my wife said, remember you met on a ship? And
yeah.
I know Dix Carter. I don't have to wait. Every time I read an interview with you, the person comes away and it's under a spell, enchanted, bewitched, people of all sexes and creeds, and so. And I remember Miss Hepburn saying once, you can just turn it on if you have to. Can you just turn it on when you talk to the press and win them over?
What a question.
That's a tough one.
Well, I try my best to be pleasing and to be entertaining, since I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And it isn't very difficult for me to be excited about interviews, because it's not an old thing for me. You know, this is my first hit, designing women, and I'm not 18 anymore, and I'm just thrilled with the whole deal, you know.
You're glad about it.
Certainly not at all blasé, not at all jaded about it. I'm thrilled about it.
One of the best times of your life, would you say?
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yes, in every way.
Well, in that scene, when they cut to some young ladies who seemed appalled, and actually I thought of your daughters. I can't imagine, as colorful as you are, that there hasn't been one or two times when your daughters have thought, Mom, you're our mother, and we go to Harvard.
You know, I've got a story to tell you about that, about those girls, and that Annie Potts teases about this story. At one of my birthday, I always give myself a big birthday party, and at one of my birthday parties, since the girls have been grown, I was doing my usual, you know, drinking my champagne and kicking my heels up, something like we just saw. And my new friends, the other designing women, were watching all this go on, and they said afterwards, Dixie, do you know that most women who had 18, 19-year-old daughters, seeing their mother get out in the yard and cavort like that, would say, get mother in the house immediately.
Yes.
And instead,
throw something over
they said,
mother.
You know, get mother behind so get her down, get her out of the way. But my girls just smile at me and just egg me on. They're angels, they are.
I guess they'd have to be, would they? I mean, no, I didn't mean that. I meant that only in the best way, that being your daughters. Being your daughters.
Oh,
they would,
thank you. They're my proudest accomplishment, my girls are.
Are you married to anyone in particular?
Hal Holbrook, I'm married to. You booger.
Yeah, he... Oh, that's part of your charm. Yes, he allowed me to, in his dressing room once, to watch him transform himself into Mark Twain, and I've never gotten over it.
Oh, I'm remiss. He told me to tell you hello and send you the warmest greetings.
Oh,
yes, just now leaving the
I hope
hotel
he didn't send them
room.
to someone else by mistake.
No, he sent those greetings to you.
What an artist he is. He's...
What an artist,
I tried to
yes.
give him... I inadvertently gave him a great compliment once. I was watching him do his Twain, which I've seen several times. And at the time, I was reading Huck Finn for the 4th time or something. And watching Holbrook as Twain, I thought, when I go backstage afterwards, I'm going to tell him I've read his book 4 times now. I thought, wait a minute, no, this isn't Mark Twain, it's Hal Holbrook. I mean, it was...
Oh.
But for a moment, I had that thought, his book. I have read his book.
It's mysterious, isn't it?
Now...
He's doing
Have you
Lear,
had any
you know,
troubles?
this year. He's doing King Lear.
Oh, good.
At the Cleveland
Wow.
Great Lakes Theater Festival. He's going to be going into rehearsal right after I get opened at the Carlisle. That's going to be something to see, Dick.
Oh,
That's
that
gonna
would be
something
splendid.
to see.
Boy.
Yeah.
He may be tough to live with for a while.
Yeah. Jerry Friedman's directing it, and he said to me, just don't grieve over the fact that you're not going to be around during rehearsals, because Hal's going to be going through something that is just as well to do alone.
Yeah. People who play that role tend to have a rough time at home, well, especially if they have women around.
And he's a perfectionist, you know.
Yeah.
He is a great artist.
And you yourself set out to be an opera singer, and I don't understand what they mean by a voice not being big enough. Can't you be trained to get as much sound and volume? No.
It's there or it's not.
I'm all wet.
No, you're not, but that's a legitimate question. But I don't have a good enough voice to sing opera. I have the heart for it. It's one of those little quirks of fate that sometimes you think, well, God just didn't have his attention on me completely. He gave me this terrific desire to sing and not quite the equipment to sing what I want to. When I was 4, hearing it on the radio, I knew I had to get to New York and sing at the Metropolitan Opera. But I didn't have the pipes.
Stop the presses.
What?
You have no agent?
Correct.
Are you trying to start some sort of revolution in our business?
Well, I believe after my experience in the theater and in the Hollywood, in that emotional desert of California, I believe that an agent can be indeed one of the most destructive elements in an actor's life.
Indeed.
I will never have an agent again.
Tell me more.
I have my friend Dale Davis, who is my manager.
Yeah.
I have a lawyer who negotiates for me now, you know. And I believe that somebody has to think you're good to do you any good. And I've never met an agent who really thought I was much good. I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's the truth. The last agency I had, Triad, thought that the Carlisle Hotel was not... I kept saying, I think they'd hire me at the Carlisle if you'd just talk to them. And finally somebody said, you know, Dixie, that isn't enough of a job for us to fool with,
Little
basically.
hotel? To work in a little hotel job?
That's the Hollywood mentality, too. In New York, there is a certain life of the mind. There are a few gods. One of them is maybe at least pretension to intellectuality, if not the real thing. But in California, there's no pretense. Money is God, and if you can't be in a room that's bigger than the room at the Carlisle, then you can't find anybody who's wholeheartedly going to represent you.
So the fact that
I don't even want to get started on this, but yes, I don't have an agent.
The fact that it's a high-class, internationally recognized, famous place to go, the Carlisle, didn't cut any ice with your agent?
No!
Uh-huh.
No, it didn't.
I guess you've convinced me. Did you let them down gently and just say, with a polite letter, or
well, I'll tell you the truth. My
use
contract,
any particular Southern
my
phrase?
contract had been up for almost 3 years, and they didn't know about it. So
It was kind of easy for you.
all I had to do was call attention to the fact that my contract was up.
If you wanted to say get lost in a real down-home way that's vaguely printable, how would you say it? Are there phrases from down home that you can use?
Go to grass and eat mullet. Did you ever hear that one?
No.
Well, you can just go to grass and eat mullet. I don't know what it means, but I've heard it.
We'll get into that and other such phrases right after this.
Over and over again.
You may wonder what we're talking about. We were just talking about the fact that Southerners, to me, have a great, this is no secret, great rich verbal tradition, as you demonstrate. But talking about kids in the South today losing the great opportunity to hear the older folks tell the great stories, and
Yeah.
maybe television's killing off all that wonderful.
Maybe it
verbal
is.
stuff.
Television's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Here we sit right on it, but saying that, and it's biting the hand that feeds you. But, you know, I have this idea that if we all had a law imposed upon us that grandparents had to live with a family, the whole deal would be better, and the whole drug situation would... I think that the dissolution of the family unit is a serious, sad, horrible, tragic concern. And there go the stories and the family history out the window. And here comes TV with everything so fast, and now we can click the channels from where we sit. So we don't even have to watch.
Yeah.
You know, they have to get our attention in 15 seconds or we're on, and I'm as guilty as
true.
anyone else.
Programs that are designed for short attention span can themselves be clicked to other programs quickly,
programs.
so that pretty soon...
Well, I'm terrible. The only ones that hold me, you know, are the nature shows. If you see a lion just about to get that wildebeest, well, for me anyway, I stay with it until
Lion
it's
getting
killed
wildebeest,
anyway.
yeah. Some of the details of nest building lose me sometimes, despite the sonorous tones in which they're narrated. But in any case...
But a good snake or a good grizzly bear or a good lion, that will hold you.
Well, you're
right?
used to all those things from being down in the South, where you got to be
Where
careful
we have
swimming.
them
You don't know
all.
what's swimming with you. It could be a
Cottonmouth, yeah.
reptile. And oh, I envy you a Southern upbringing, a Southern childhood, and Southern friends, and all that stuff. I did hear one thing about you that I feel it's my duty to bring up. That you went to a spirit channeler once.
Ramtha.
I tend to giggle at this, so maybe you can convince me that this was wise.
Oh, you may be talking to the wrong one.
Dixie.
Keep the giggles off. Ramtha. Ramtha, that spirit that comes through the beautiful blonde woman.
Ah, so.
You know, and there have been scandals now, and
Oh,
some
yeah,
people say Ramtha exists. All of a sudden, she speaks like this, and her fingers curl up in that sort of old, we think of, I don't know, Turkish. Ramtha said something to me that made some sense. And that night, since I go right along with anything, I just believe everything, you know, so I said to Ramtha, please come over and visit me. And that night, indeed, the fire started up in my fireplace with no one lighting it.
Get out of here.
No, I'm telling you, cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. It did. But here's what Ramtha said to me. I had been out in California for about a year, and Ramtha said, you must get rid of your mirrors. You have bad mirror. Well, now, as a matter of fact, I was hanging around with a bunch of people. It took me a year to realize I invited them over every Friday night to my house, and none of them ever invited me to theirs. So I began to realize that the free food and wine might have been more important to them than my adorable company. Anyway.
These people were your mirrors, were they?
Correct. That seemed to be what Ramtha was saying.
And
So then
Ramtha-
shortly after that, I met Hal Holbrook,
Yeah.
who thought I was a nice woman. And things changed.
How did you know by mirrors she wasn't just complaining about your bathroom or something? I mean, you know that they
I
speak
think
in metaphors.
Ramtha meant speaking
Yeah.
in whatever those kind of images are.
It seems to me there are two possibilities. One is that Ramtha is in fact possessed by, this blonde woman is possessed by this, or we might grant that she thinks she is.
Yes. Or she just figured out a great
Or
way to
she-
make a lot of money.
Should have an acting
Or
part.
she should have an acting career. But if it's acting, it's really splendid. Now, see, I think that there's something going on there. I do.
If Ramtha said, get rid of your husband immediately, would you weigh it in other ways besides Ramtha's advice? I'm just curious.
Would. I probably would.
Okay. Was the part actually written for you because the writer knew you for the series?
This one, you
Because
mean?
that's, yeah. The current series.
It's almost impossible for me to get a job by auditioning. So thank heavens for this. 'Cause I'm so nervous for an audition. It's hard for me to show anything that I can do. I had done a short-lived series called Filthy Rich, written by Linda Bloodworth Thomason, and when it was over, and it was in the early 1980s, she said to me, You know that expression, we were in love, but the show closed. You know that, Dick, you know. Well, but Linda isn't one of those people. She said, I'm going to write you a part that's not going to be quite as bizarre the next time I get a chance, Dixie, and make a mainstream character that America will get to know. I promise I'm going to. And 6 years later, I guess.
That's what happened.
She called me up and said, I want to use your name. I want to go into a meeting with CBS. So she wrote it for me, and Delta, and Gene, and Annie, all of us. Isn't that wonderful?
That's 1 in a million. We'll be right back with more. We're back with Dixie Carter. People pay a fortune to get a cabaret act written, sweat throughout their lives, try it and fail, and never seem to find their image, or all of that. And Hal apparently suggested the idea from the beginning. But was it his whole idea that you do a cabaret act?
It was his idea.
Or his idea what you do in a cabaret act?
No, I make it up myself, more or less.
Every description I've read of it makes me want to be there. It sounds like a
I wish you'd
whopping
come this
evening.
time. You and Carrie and I
I
come
doubt if I can
this
get in.
time.
It's a small room, and
I'll get you in if you want to come. Don't you worry about that.
if you see my nose pressed to the glass door...
That is so much fun to be singing up there in front of that piano and see people outside who are looking in and kind of making up their mind. Then if there's an extra seat, they push the door open and come in. It's wonderful. So Mabel Mercer was a great heroine. You probably loved Mabel Mercer.
I like Mabel Mercer a lot, and there's a certain kind of performing in a room just that size that you can't get anywhere else, and when it's working, it's a warm,
it's like
wonderful
your living room.
feeling.
Well, that's why Hal suggested that I do it.
Yeah.
He said, Dixie, why don't you just go ahead and make a cabaret act and see if you can sing someplace, because I would imprison my dinner guests, you know, just bar the front door and get out the champagne and say, now I'll sit down and sing for them for hours at a time. And he said, everybody likes it, and you love it, obviously, so do it. So I have.
Cosmetic surgery, someone said to me to mention to you. I assume they're referring to the song of the same name. And
Correct.
From your act.
Last year, I did in that place in the show a John Wallowich, you know John Wallowich song called I'm 27. And this year, I'm going to tell the audiences I can't do it anymore because I'm 28 now, so I'm doing cosmetic surgery. Can I just start off the song for you, tell you a few words? You'll think it's adorable, I bet you.
I'd be thrilled.
All my friends are getting younger than ever. Look at Binky and Dora and Fred. Though their morals are loose, their flesh is taut. In a matter of weeks, with the modern techniques for improving physiques, they have altered their beaks and they've lifted their cheeks, and now everyone speaks in society's cliques of the changes that science has wrought, of the changes that money has bought. Isn't that a good beginning?
That sounds a little Noel Cowardish, doesn't it? Something he might write for his Vegas act.
John's stuff sounds a little bit that way.
He's been a big influence, or help to you, hasn't he?
Yes. He and I have remained friends now for 25 years. I love old friendships, don't you?
Yes.
It's better if it...
One's lucky enough to have some.
If they turn out to be true and good and loyal. It's great. And so I'm making a record with John. The 16th of April. I wish you could come and see. The Carlisle's letting us use the room. We're going to call it Dixie Carter Sings John Wallowich at the Carlisle, and it's going to be all his songs.
It's not that I'm interested. It's we're out of time in this segment. We'll be right back. I'm talking with Dixie Carter, who's pretending to be impressed with me.
Well, I am impressed. You speak Japanese.
I speak some Japanese, not all of it. There are whole areas of the language that I don't speak.
Well, that's true of English,
You know,
too, for most of us,
Yeah,
anyway.
even you said you speak English. Yeah, but there must be millions of things we don't know how to say in English, so...
Egregious. I always forget what egregious means. What's pellucid? These are words that I wonder
those words
what
that
do they
no matter
mean?
how many times you run across them, and no matter how many times you look them up, you have to look them up
you don't
again.
know them.
Yeah, so it's a...
Those are my two bones of contention right now, but please let's go on about the whatever we were talking.
People often watch for advice on television, and in the minutes we have remaining, you talked in an article about having had 2 marriages and now a very happy one. Have you learned from those anything you could advise somebody about what not to do? And do you think anybody's experience applies to anybody else?
I don't know one thing about it. I just think I'm lucky now. I try to be nice now. I try to be kind. I try to remember that we hurt each other's feelings without meaning to, but I have no words of wisdom at all.
You did say that to, I believe, a lady interviewer that after 40, men just fall from trees.
Well, that is nice.
Does that mean they're
I don't know.
that's a
something
good thing. I mean, they're not
well,
over.
Oh, well, I thought
Are they
it was
overripe?
good.
I didn't know why the fruit image of the men falling from the trees. Or nuts. What falls from trees?
I don't know whether I said fall.
I don't mean
from
to be
trees,
flippant.
I think that young men, all of a sudden, when you're too old for them, in your 30s, at 40, all of a sudden, they become very interested in you.
Young men recognize the value of an older woman.
Yes,
older
but you
than
have
30.
you have to get 40 to come into this glorious attention.
Is that the best time for a woman if she plays her cards right? I wonder.
Of course, I'm 33 now. I've decided I liked it before, and I've gone back to it. So I didn't even know what I'm doing this 40 talk for.
I haven't raised. Did I raise the question of age or anything resembling it? Dixie, rather quickly, could you fill people in on the reaction that one episode got about that when you made that speech to the class reunion at the class reunion about the color? Do you know the thing I'm referring to? And it revolves being overweight.
That was Delta's speech.
Yeah.
Delta had a show about her weight, and I figured a little bit in it. Delta's had a problem with her weight.
She made the speech.
She made the speech. She's been in all
Well, now
the...
you've caught me in an imposture because I didn't actually see it.
She's been in all the, you know, the tabloids.
Yeah.
And very hurtfully so. And so we did a show for her to be able to answer everybody about her
Oh,
weight.
and it was her being overweight. Oh, okay, because it didn't figure to me, and I thought I'll pretend I saw it.
No!
God, the way women can unmask you in public, it's just amazing. Well, you were never better than you were in that episode where you were overweight. You're a stunning actress and have an amazing resume, and there's hardly anyone you haven't worked
Thank
with
you.
and all. And I don't know why the
thank
whole
you.
country isn't just beating a path to your door. But they certainly will to the Carlisle in New York City at the Carlisle Hotel, I'm
The
sure.
month of April.
Yeah.
I hope they'll come opening April the 3rd and playing through the 28th.
Well, I hope you'll come back sometime and show us the bad, ugly, unpleasant sides of you that you've so skillfully concealed.
Yes, I will.
Nice to see you.
They're
Dixie
there.
Carter, good luck
Nice
at the
to see
hotel.
you.
We'll see you next time, and so long.